they're mine. So I can do whatever I want with them. The Vaquero one, I'm probably going to use as a commercial after it's had its run for state parks for Plaza, for the Community Arts Center. And the other ones, in a sense, I mean, you know, the mind kind of begins to think ahead a little bit, and I was thinking there'll be extraordinary calling cards in a way to go to other states and say, you know, listen here, this is what I did for California. Are you interested in me doing it for you guys? But you have to give me money first. So I mean, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of interesting roads that can go down. And in a way, I'm really hoping that it is a synthesis, like my pledge, of combining aspects of the public service that I've done for so long and the areas that have been so sort of interesting that I've gotten involved in, with the experience that I have in filmmaking and Hollywood and storytelling. Okay. Well, let's start young and work up. My daughter Ty is going to be 19, August 26th. And she is just the sweetest thing on the planet, not that much. She's home right now. She's going to University of California at Santa Barbara. And she got into a kind of an honors program called the College of Creative Studies. Now, you basically get in based on a portfolio presentation of your work that you give to the teachers. And they say, well, it's a very small college. And UCSB is, in its graduate school, ranked very highly nationally. The College of Creative Studies, it's basically what I did with my college education, but they didn't have a mechanism then for it to be legal. Which is, I went more with my interest in my heart than where the curriculum said I was supposed to go. College of Creative Studies, you go in, you skip the first 2 years of general ed and go straight into the areas that you're interested in. Classes are 8 to 12 people. You have a faculty advisor who's with you the whole 4 years. You make your own curriculum. You study what you want to study. And you can't even fail. It's pass, no record. So if you never show up at a class, you just don't get credit for it. It's not like you can get a C or D or an F or have that pressure on you. So it's an absolutely sort of nurturing, creative environment for people to kind of be able to blossom, and she loves it. I mean, this girl has loved school basically through her whole school experience, and we've been very lucky in the schools that she's gone to. Starting out with a Waldorf school, Rudolf Steiner School, which is a wonderful form of education for keeping magic alive in children and not sort of beating it out of them like the public school system does quite a bit. Then she went to a school called Crossroads, which is a very kind of a worldly, it's where like all the mucky mucks and their kids, you know, Dustin Hoffman and Ovitz and Spielberg and you know, that's where those folks go. So she had then a very intense sort of sophisticated education for a while, and now she's in a beautiful setting with people she loves, studying the things that she loves. Every Friday she's singing and playing guitar all the time, and is probably, we've performed together a couple of times, at the Wordsworth Theater, at the Gardenia she did a solo thing, at a very hip new club in LA called Genghis Cohen, which is actually a Chinese restaurant, but all the new acts who play, or older acts who play for the love of it, play there. Music is very much a part of her life. She writes extraordinary songs and plays great guitar. And up at UCSB every Friday night she performs at a coffee shop called Java Joan. So academically she's doing great, and creatively she's blossoming. And the other night she called us at 1 o'clock in the morning when she was baking cookies with her. She's now moved out of a dorm and is sharing a house with some other girls. To tell us she loves it. Okay, and next, Kate, my wife, is doing great, running the horse business as usual, and me trying to take some of the glory while she does all the work. And, you know, I think we've got about 50 horses now. And it's so much work. You know, and virtually not really much profit, because all the money you make has to go right back into the stock of the facility. But the cool thing about it is that it's a little bit of profit every month that's consistent. So when I go through a period where I'm not bringing in a lot of money, which actually, although I did an Ashbridges in the martial law a couple of months ago, that's very little take home. basically I've been putting so much energy into writing and into the PSAs and into other stuff that it's nice to have that little, know that that little bit is coming in, you know, makes a big difference. And Papa's amazing. I'm just praying it's genetic and kicks in when I hit 50. He just had a knee replacement at 93. I pulled 16-hour night shift when he was in the hospital, so we had some real interesting conversations. Nothing like morphine to loosen the tongue. And basically the reason he got the knee replacement was because he's got 4 girlfriends. And they all love to dance. And one of them's a very well, you know, a very capable professional dancer and choreographer. And he was getting a little ouchy on one of his knees, and you know, it was sort of like, damn it. That's not him at all, actually. He looks the same as he looked in Green Acres. He's still got the mane of white hair. He looks exactly the same facially. It's unbelievable. He is amazing. And I mean, my whole life, I remember him, you know, sort of swimming and running and taking vitamins when they invented vitamins. The first thing he was telling me the other day, the first vitamin they invented, they call vitamin A, naturally, or they discovered. And he said, oh, I'll try that. And he started then B and C and E. And he's worked his way through the alphabet through all these years and really taken care of himself. And at 93, he still drives himself up to my ranch in Malibu, which is along PCH, a very tough drive. And you know, he's ferocity is the name of his game. And he works on his webpage almost every day. He's working on an autobiography that he's been working on for a couple of years that he continues to put time into virtually every day. And, you know, occasionally he'll have a couple of down days and then get pissed off at himself and sort of, you know, get back in gear. But he's just amazing. He really is. Continuing to be a contributing member of society and the patriarch of the planet, truly. And he just gets sweeter and funnier and more lovable every year. You know, and he's beat cancer and beat heart problems and a bad knee, and you know, it doesn't even slow him down. The time in the hospital was tougher on me than it was on him. He had slept all night and was, you know, high as a kite to boot. And I'm sitting there trying to stay awake by kind of little doodles I'm doing on the computer because he would talk a lot in his sleep. Regrettably, nothing unusual came out. So I had to, but it was interesting that his subconscious mind is exactly the same as his conscious mind. You know how some people, when they talk in their sleep, it's like a little, you wish they wouldn't. You know way too much already. But he was just like he was talking during the day, but he was completely asleep. The problem with that, though, is it wasn't like somebody asleep in a hospital bed that all of a sudden goes, help me, or Edward, are you there? You know, he was going on all night long. So I couldn't sort of kind of doze and know that I'd wake up and he said my name or something. I had to basically stay awake all night and work all day. So, I mean, it was, talking about getting the other knee done, I said, I don't know if I can take it. But he's doing great. I mean, he's clear-headed. The thing, I love the fact, the one thing that really is annoying to him and bothers him is that he's having trouble remembering names. Well, honey, I have trouble remembering names. And he's had trouble remembering names as long as I've known him. You know, so it really, his capacity, as the doctors say, his meditation, is virtually not diminished at all. The only time when he's, like all of us, when he's tired, he stutters a little bit sometimes, he gets a little hesitant. Right now, yeah, there's a thing in San Francisco in the Redwoods called the Bohemian Grove, which is like the ultimate boys club. All the presidents are members and all the CEOs of all the top companies. And it's like a boys camp out there in these redwoods, but they have like a 47 Chateau Margaux, you know, they're like, you know, $5,000 bottles of wine and I mean, all the amenities that you can imagine, but they camp out.